Hello and welcome to In the Diaspora with me, David Chisanga. In the Diaspora is a radio program that focuses on Irish migrants. The program follows the lives of people who left their home country either for work, business, study, or asylum. Today, I'm actually speaking to 8 students who are from St. John's University from the United States of America. So I have Colleen, I have Joy, I have, and they're going to introduce themselves quite well. I'll start with Colleen as well. Colleen, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
And I'll go to Joy now.
Thank you.
All right, sure. And we also have N1 as well. We have Chris.
Hello, I'm Chris.
All right, that's great. And we also have Alwena.
Hi, I'm Luna.
Luna, okay. Thank you very much. And we also have Aiden.
Hi, I'm Aiden. Thank you for having me.
All right, we also have Abigail.
Hello, I'm Abigail.
Now, you've come here to study here in Ireland from your different, places. Just first of all, tell us about yourself. I think one by one, what makes you tick? What makes you Colleen? Who's Colleen?
Hi, so my name's Colin. I came on this study abroad program because I was excited to experience the world and gain a different perspective from living back in the United States. And it's so far been an amazing experience to be studying in Europe and getting that different perspective that I wouldn't have had if I was back home. And I'm just learning a lot more about how the world operates. So that to me is very exciting, and that's something I want to pursue for the rest of my life, is learning about how the world runs.
Hi, my name is Anwin. I live in New York. I'm a junior at St. John's University, and I'm loving doing study abroad so far. So the kids in our program were in Ireland. We're going to go to Paris next week, and then we're going to end up in Rome. So it's been a great experience. Everyone in Ireland so far has been really kind to us. It's just been a great experience overall. I actually commute to college back home, so I was very excited for a new experience. I've always been interested in different cultures and traveling, so it's a dream come true being here.
Hi, I'm Joey. I'm from a small town called Mount Cobb in Pennsylvania. Being from a small town, I've always had an itch to travel. I've always had a love for learning about different cultures, and the experience here so far has been very rewarding.
Hi, I'm Aiden. I'm from upstate New York, the capital, Albany. So going to school, I love New York City. That's why I chose St. John's. Very, diverse city with a lot to do. And then, going there, they had that study abroad program, which I'm currently in. And like my other friends have said, we are here in Ireland first, then we go to Paris in a couple days, and then we finish in Rome. I thought, the idea of exploring Europe and getting to see, all the beautiful places, meeting all the interesting people, was just a dream opportunity. And so far, the experience in Ireland has been nothing short of amazing. It's been great here, just meeting all these new faces and learning more about what Ireland has to offer, and just seeing cities, landmarks, you name it. It's been a very awesome experience so far.
Hello, I'm Chris. So I'm an international business major. So I've always had a love for traveling. My whole life I grew up playing soccer, traveling around the country and everything. And during COVID, I was supposed to come over here and play soccer in Germany and play soccer in Austria as well. But that was all cut off. So that just kind of itched me even more to come out here. And when I got into St. John's, one of the first things I looked at was the study abroad program. And as soon as we were able to, we came out here. The 3 of us are roommates, and then we have another person in this group who's also our roommate. So this is our second year living together. It's kind of crazy to see 3 of your best friends that you've made at school travel the world together and everything. And Ireland, we kind of expected a little bit more of a culture shock than we got. We were met with very open arms, but it's been very pleasantly surprising so far, and I've enjoyed it a lot.
Hello, I'm Abigail. I'm from Pico Rivera, California. I Initially, it was a really big step to go to New York, so far away from home, being the only girl in the family, the youngest. And I think since I was able to get used to like being away from home in California, being away from California in New York, I just got the feeling that it was really empowering to be away. And I think taking myself out of my comfort zone really empowered me. And I wanted to do it again, going away out of the country to see what it was like. And definitely I think Ireland is a great place to begin because the culture is very welcoming. And even just experiencing everything with people I've never met before is also empowering. So I'm really glad that I took this step.
Hi, I'm Leona. I'm a sophomore at St. John's. I'm majoring in business analytics. So I actually commute from Brooklyn to St. John's, which is like a 4 hours of commute, and I was just exhausted with my college life, and I just wanted to do something for fun. So I chose to study abroad, and I'm just so glad that I did it because Ireland has been amazing so far, and I'm just so excited to go to next to Paris and then Rome, and yeah.
So you're all here in Ireland to study, and what do you like about Ireland, or what do you hate so far?
Yeah, so my name's Colin. So far, what I love about Ireland is the community, the feeling of community that you have here. Wherever you go, like it can be any sort of restaurant or pub or barbershop or anything, and the people are so welcoming and willing to have a conversation. I've had multiple drinks bought for me just out of kindness, just people wanting to put a smile on my face, just saying like, I'm glad you're here and I'm glad to welcome you here to Ireland. And that's been majority of my experience so far is very welcoming. And also the nature here is incredible too. I went down to Killarney, and the Killarney National Park is stunning, breathtaking. My experience so far has been extremely positive in Ireland.
This is Anwin. My favorite thing about being in Ireland is just how welcoming the people here are. People on the street just want to talk to you, just say, hi, how are you doing, how's your day going? Back in New York, no one gives you the time of day. They just ignore you, keep walking. So, yeah, it's just a very fast-moving city. Everyone's busy, everyone's going somewhere, so people really don't talk to you in New York versus Ireland. People here are always just going out of their way to talk to you and get to know a little about you. And the worst thing here has to be the weather. Every single time, every weekend I decide to go out, it's always cloudy. The weather always ruins my day. I'm expecting a sunny day, and it's just clouds everywhere. Like, it's just gray. I thought it was just going to be London, but it's just Ireland too, I guess.
You'd rather be in New York winter than here?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely going to have to agree with Anwin here. This is Joey, by the way. The people here are absolutely amazing. On the way to class this morning, I walked by somebody and they said good morning to me, and I looked at them and I was like, are you talking to me? You simply don't get that in New York. It was just like a surprise really when I got here. And agreeing with Anwin again, the weather here is miserable. I hate the rain. I like it when it's sunny out.
This is Aiden. I hate to parrot all the things that everyone else has been saying, but the friendliness and kindness that I've been treated with, just the people here have been super nice and helpful. Whenever I've had to ask someone for help or trying to look for a spot or literally just talking about anything, people. Honestly, I thought meeting the people here was really cool enough, and it was really cool to see that a lot of people were very interested in where I came from in America, and then also just socially and culturally, I'm a big sports fan, and it was really easy to just transition from talking to my friends at home about sports to so many people here watching games and talking about soccer or rugby or whatever it may be. So I've had a lot of really positive experiences just talking to people and learning more about Ireland. Negatives, I'm not so much bothered by the weather. I've dealt with multiple feet of snow back at home. It's it's maybe a minor inconvenience, but it's not as big a deal.
Smells a good thing.
The weather's okay for you.
I don't mind as much, but
Yeah, so I of course love the people here. They've been so friendly, but something that stuck out to me is the work culture here is much different than what it is at home. Over here, I've noticed a lot of like when you're done your workday, you're going home or you're going to like a pub or somewhere and you're hanging out with your family and your friends and you're talking to them and you're actually spending time out of your day that's not just work. Back at home, you work 8 to 10 to 12 hours a day and then you go home and you do more work. And I feel like sometimes, especially like New York, I'm from outside of Philadelphia, so I see a lot of like fast-moving people that are too busy, like you said as well. And I feel like sometimes people forget about like back at home, they forget about the little things that really matter the most, like family and friends. And over here, I just can't help but notice sometimes, like we'll walk down the street and like the gas stations or the pharmacies are closed pretty early, and it's like, oh, they have families to go home to. They have people that they want to see. Over in America, it's 24 hours because people need you in those places. So I found that very interesting. I don't really have many negatives. I think the weather could be a lot worse than it is.
That's a good point, yeah.
Hey, this is Leona. So I guess the positive side would be the community. They're just so friendly. They always go out of their way to help us. I remember the first time we landed in Shannon, we couldn't book a taxi. We were supposed to like download an app called Free Now, but we weren't able to do it. So a lady, she like called a taxi for us and she was telling us to like, go like 3 people so it will be cheaper for you. I was like, wow, people are just so friendly here. And a negative side would be the fact that stuff just closed so early here. I remember my roommate and we were just gonna go out for dinner. It was like 10 and we could not get food at any pub. And it was a shock for me because I didn't know they just stopped serving food around 8:30. So that would be, but it also makes sense, as Chris said, like they also have to get back home, and it's also like different culture, different, stuff. But yeah, that makes sense. But Ireland has been great so far.
Great.
This is Abigail. Definitely have been caught off guard by people coming up to me just to want to know like who I am, just to kind of tell my story, introduce myself, because that would never really happen back home. I think if somebody were to come up to me, I would just keep walking, ignore them. Don't really want to talk to a random person who comes up to me. But it's obviously different. Everybody's welcoming, wants to know who you are, what you're doing in Limerick. And another thing that I really love is, like Colin said about the greenery. I love just like taking a bus or a train anywhere and just like looking outside because there's always like something to see. Just reminds you of like driving down or up California highways just to see like the farmland. Definitely reminds me of home.
You're listening to In the Diaspora with me, David, and I have international students right here at Mary Immaculate College here in Ireland, and we are just chatting, their journey here, their experiences in Ireland, as we move on now to look at, education in Ireland and how they find the education system here so far and how they've been learning. So I would like to start this way now, going the other way. Abigail, I'll start with you. What do you think about the education system in Ireland, in comparison maybe to home? Since you've learned here, what's your perception now?
So I am a communications major. I went into St. John's, but I did in the beginning want to be a journalist. But I realized after taking like my first journalism class that I didn't really like it. So I've never really been interested in business or economics. And with this economics class, I won't lie, I did dread it because I thought that it was going to be very intimidating. But this migration class was really interesting because we got to learn about it more how it is in Ireland. And I think because Ireland is such an open country with open borders, they're very, they love inclusivity and diversity. Whereas at home, sometimes it could be looked at as a negative thing. So I love that it was very interactive and we got to learn about Doris and Gosh. We got to go to these places where they're actually the ones helping migrants. So I really love that aspect. They really want you to get out there.
So I'm a business student, so I took economics class before. So before taking the class, I thought I was going to, learn about all these economics equations, all the formulas and stuff. But yeah, supply and demand curve and all this stuff. But yeah, the class was more about, migration and its impact on economics, and it was nothing like what I expected. Before it was, I don't know, it was just personal. I got to learn a lot about migration, how Ireland is just so open to refugees and stuff. And also we, as Abigail mentioned, we went to visit different organizations. We got to learn about those organizations, which was cool. Yeah, it's different and more interactive than the classes in US, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. I'm also like a business major, so a lot of those classes you have to take business, and then over here we take this migration class, and then a couple of other of us are in a theology or a philosophy class. And I was surprised. I figured that the philosophy class was going to be pretty open-minded in thinking. It definitely is. But this class, it caught me off guard about how open-minded it is, and just open discussions and kind of making it personal to yourself. Like they said, when we went to organizations and places like that, that was interesting to see, like, you're actually applying what you're learning and putting it into real life to see how it changes. But it was very interesting to hear from people who, like, are actually, like migrants who are dealing with this every day. We talked to somebody whose family is, like, in Ukraine fighting every day, and it was wildly interesting to hear it from his point of view, to hear that people who sound like they're going through war right now are at more peace than the people who are in a safe country. And just hearing it from a different perspective, you see videos on it, you hear all stories, but when you actually get it from a first-person point of view, it's much more eye-opening. So I found that very interesting, and you don't get that very often in school. Back at St. John's, we're in the classroom or you're online, and that's it.
Yeah, I very much agree with everything that's been said so far. I think all the classes I've had here have just been nothing but, healthy mental growth. And like Chris said, I take a ethics class earlier in the day, and it's a lot of healthy discussions, and sometimes in classes in America, you don't get too much of that without it being very divided. But overall, I've really liked the experience. The side trips that we've done in classes have been fantastic. Like it's been said, I've been able to learn a lot and not have to just be in a classroom setting in one spot for an hour, hour and a half. And sometimes, that can, just be a blur, and you kind of lose attention to what you're learning. So being able to meet with organizations and individuals firsthand, hear their stories. The Ukrainian person we know was a very, impactful and profound, day that we had to just hear what he had to say. And, like Chris said, it's one thing just, hearing it on the news or online or reading stuff, but actually, listening about these experiences is, beyond something I could ever fathom. So it was, really, really profound. So overall, it's been a really wonderful experience.
Yeah, so I think that the way the education system here, like the way it's set up, is much more rewarding than how it's set up in America, because like everybody else has said, it's a very interactive classroom. We were able to go out and see things and actually, like, firsthand, like, see what we were learning about, versus in America, like, the classrooms there, it's just like drilling this information into your brain, just like, remember this for this test. But when we're over here, it's kind of like we already know it because we've experienced it and we've talked about it in every class. And I think that aspect of education is very much needed, because it made, like, my education a lot easier, and I learned more in these two classes that I'm taking over here probably than I've learned in my first year at St. John's. So yeah, very rewarding over here.
This is Anwin. Honestly, I have a separate view, or a different view than my peers. I didn't really find the Irish classes that we took here that different compared to the classes I was taking back in New York. The one major difference would be the guest speakers and the field trips we take, but I don't think that's an Irish class thing. I think it's more of a, like, the program we're in. And our program, we kind of got isolated from the other kids at Mary I because our classes are accelerated, so we do the entire class in a month versus the other international or other Irish kids at Mary I, where they would just have a regular class. So our classes are a little different. But the one thing I was most surprised to find out about was the college process here is like very different to America's. So in America, we have to take the SATs, we have to get a good GPA, college recommendations, an essay. But here, you just take a big test, and whatever points you get is what major you go into. And it's a very rigid system. Like, the classes here are very rigid, while in America, it's very fluid, and you can change up your classes and you can change up your major, which you won't be able to do here in Ireland.
Hey, this is Colin. So I found this to be such an eye-opening experience. The classes that I've been taking have taught me a lot. I'm in theology and the economics course. And for example, my major is cybersecurity, but I want to go into anti-terrorism. And I'm looking at how like the nations interact with each other. And in this economics course, we learned about we learned about that, and we learned about the EU and NATO, and we learned about all these government organizations and partnerships. So that was a really interesting experience that stood out to me from learning in this course, as well as being able to listen to the Ukrainian that came in, and as well as go into the different organizations and learn more about them. We learned about Seed Savers in Ireland. We went out to a farm, and we also went into GOSH and other organizations around Limerick. And the combination of learning in class as well as like going out and getting that firsthand experience just makes it such a much more enriching education.
Finally, I would like to find out from each of you, after living here in Ireland, what story would you tell about the country to anybody, on the street? What did you really tell them about Ireland?
I would probably say Ireland is a very warm, welcoming country. That's, as I mentioned before, that's probably my favorite part about Ireland. It also has a very unique landscape, like the cliffs of Moher. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. But yeah, it was very beautiful, even though when we went it was very cloudy. I was just like in awe of all the different landscapes. Every single weekend here, I was just in a new part of Ireland. Like I went to Galway, Killarney, Dublin, Wicklow, Kinsale, Cork, like all over, and everywhere I saw it was just beautiful. So I would just, in two words, it would be warm and beautiful.
So yeah, in my opinion, Ireland is drunk. From what I have seen, people love their pub time, and it's very a notable aspect of their culture. They're also very friendly too.
Both of those statements are true, I guess. I do like the pub culture, but I also do agree that there is a rich history with a lot of scenic views and cool areas of countryside that, if you were just touring maybe in Dublin or wherever, you might not see. So I would totally recommend going to the not so talked about places, because there are just some amazing, places you can see that, people have lived there, people have existed there for hundreds of, thousands of years now. So it's just been a really cool experience. And, if anyone has, not had a positive interaction with people in Ireland, and that's just bad luck, because, everyone here has been super friendly.
I would say take advantage of how much you can do in just a day. I know for like looking at it now, it's a 2-hour train ride from roughly from Philadelphia to New York, and you can do so much in the city in a day. And that's the same thing around here. Like, you can go to Cork in a 2-hour train ride and go around for the day. But you don't necessarily realize that at home, especially for us. We're so used to being in the same area, doing things every day. And now here, I think it was actually kind of better that we've only had 5.5 weeks here, because it was like, hey, we can't have any days where we're just sitting around. Let's find something to do every day. And it almost feels like now that we only have a couple days left, like we've gotten, I don't want to say everything, but like as much as we possibly could have out of Limerick specifically. And then we traveled all throughout like the southern part of Ireland over this past month or so. And it was very interesting to see that the one constant that I noticed with everything is the level of nationalism in a healthy way. People love this country, but that's in a good way, like especially in America. Got a lot more people these days who don't necessarily love the place they live in. And I think it was pretty awesome to see, especially from the beginning when we heard like the head of state has like 100% approval rate. Like, could never imagine that. But like it was nice to see that, like especially within like the communities. Like when we went to Cork, they were like, this is the capital of Ireland. And then we went to Dublin the next weekend, and then we're like, oh, this seems like way more of a capital. But it was cool to see, because you would never like see that necessarily back in America, where like you're in one specific city of the country and it's like, nah, this is the real capital. So I thought that was pretty interesting, and I definitely tell anybody that ever comes over here is take advantage of the days you have, because it'll blow your mind how much you can do in just a day.
This is Leona. I guess I would just say how beautiful the country is. It's cold, but also it's just so green, which is something rare. We barely see that in America. It's different in America. And also the music is so good. We went to, when we went to Dublin, there was like a music festival going on. So whenever we went into a pub, there would be just music and people would be just in such a good mood. It was amazing. So yeah, I guess the culture, the people, yeah.
I think I would really emphasize like just being able to take advantage of how accessible the transit system is here. It will take you all over Ireland. Within like 2 hours, you can get to Dublin on the bus, which is, I think, because the United States is so big, obviously you can't take a train throughout every single state or like every single county like you can here. So that's just something that I do admire about Ireland.
Yeah, so if I had to fill in the blank, Ireland is, I would say, diverse, actually, for a couple of reasons. One is because I was surprised on how different the landscape was in different parts of the island. Because when I went down to Kinsale and Cork, and even Killarney too, like, they're all such different places from each other. And also, like, there's microclimates in each place. And so what I realized is, like, the weather in one area may not be the same when you drive, like, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes away. And that's not something that I'm used to being in the U.S. But in Ireland, it's definitely, like, incredible the different, like, landscapes you can get. And I would also say the people are diverse. There's a lot of rich culture and a lot of history in Ireland. And when you travel around the country, you can see, like, it's almost like you're going back in time, and then you're also connecting with the people in all these places. And then I would also say Ireland is very proud. I know it was touched on before, but yeah, I noticed, like, in their sports and in their history and where they live, they're very proud of who they are, where they're from, and what they're representing. Yeah, so I would say you have a good reason to be proud, because because this is a beautiful country, and yeah.
All right, thank you very much for being with us in the diaspora, and we wish you all the best in Paris. Enjoy yourself, and I hope you've actually enjoyed being here in Ireland and on the program. Anyone wants to say anything at the end?
Thanks for having us.
All right, and thank you for listening to In the Diaspora. I'm David Chisanga. Until next time, bye for now.